Hi, I'm Kat, and this is going to be my 12 to read in 2026 video. This is just going to be me reading a bunch of blurbs for the entire video. So knuckle down, get right in, get a cup of tea. I don't know a lot about these books. Most of these are a case of me hearing about it once and going, oh yeah, that sounds good, and now they're on this list because my TBR is so thin on the ground right now. I just needed to pad it out with shit that sounded good. So some of this I knew about before this week. A lot of them I didn't. I'm going to commit to them anyway. So here we go. So the first one is Bog People, which is, I think, edited by Holly Starling. It is an anthology with a sick-ass cover, and it's called Bog People. So, I mean, that alone was enough to put it on this list, but I will read you a bit of the blurb. A phonograph cylinder that plays on a loop for eternity, casting out ghostly spectres of violence. A centuries-old stew made of severed body parts. A bigoted woman working at an ossuary. The bones she watches over, her only remaining friends. 3 siblings who set out to scatter their father's ashes, a man none of them could stand, and a hagstone sitting in the pocket of a witch. Uncanny and unsettling, wild and weird, the 10 stories in this collection showcase the best of folk horror. Set in and across England, they celebrate working-class culture and history and, sharp as a guillotine blade, reveal the real monsters that stalk our green and pleasant land. All of that sounds fantastic. Folk horror is the genre of horror that I'm really enjoying at the moment, and I'm enjoying horror more than I'm enjoying fantasy at the moment. So I'm really hoping that that's going to be fantastic. The next one is Hell's Heart by Alexis Hall. Again, another stunning cover. Earth is a ruin, and the scattered remnants of a humanity scavenge what they can from the stars. This under the watchful auspices of a grab bag of collectives, corporations and churches. These are all that remain of what we once called society. Having long exhausted any conventional sources of energy, life in the solar system is now sustained by a volatile hallucinogenic substance. This harvested from the brains of vast cetacean-like leviathans that swim the atmospheric currents of Jupiter. Finding herself with no money and little to occupy her groundside, the narrator, takes a commission aboard the Hunter Bark Pequod as it sets out in pursuit of these leviathans. However, once aboard, she finds herself pulled inexorably into the orbit of the bark's captain, a charismatic but fanatically driven woman who the narrator names only as A. As the Pequod plunges ever deeper into the turbulent, monster-haunted atmosphere of the gas giant, the narrator begins to lose herself in the eerie world of leviathan hunting and the captain's increasingly insistent delusions. The only thing that might keep her grounded is the bond she develops with Q, a woman from the wreck of old Earth whose skin is marked with holographic light and who remembers things others have lost. I'm not normally a space person, but we all know I'm a monster person. So leviathans in space and gay people, it sounds gay. It says queer speculative fiction. Oh, it's a retelling of Melville's classic story, Moby Dick, which I've never read. I wonder if that will affect how much I enjoy it. Anyway, that sounds cool. Next is The Fox and the Devil by Kirsten White. An obsession with a beautiful serial killer entangles a vampire hunter's daughter in an immortal sapphic romance in this enthralling gothic fantasy from the #1 New York Times bestselling author of Lucy Undying. I did not read Lucy Undying, but I heard good things. Annika has a complicated relationship with her father, Abraham Van Helsing, doctor, scientist, and madman devoted to studying vampires, up until the night she comes home to find him murdered, with a surreally beautiful woman looming over his body. A woman who leaves no trace behind other than the dreams and nightmares that plague Annika every night. Spurred by her desire for vengeance and armed with the latest in forensic and investigatory techniques, Annika puts together a team of detectives to catch her mysterious serial killer, because her father isn't the only inexplicably dead body. There's a trail of victims across Europe, and Annika is certain they're all connected. But during the years spent relentlessly hunting the killer, Annika keeps some crucial evidence to herself, infuriatingly coy letters addressed only to Annika, occasionally soaked in blood, and always signed Diavola, devil. The obsession is mutual, and all the more dangerous for it. The closer Annika gets to her devil, though, the less sense the world makes. Maybe her father wasn't a madman after all. Diavola might be something much worse than a serial killer and much harder to destroy, because as Annika unearths more of Diavola's tragic past, she suspects that there's still a heart somewhere in that undead body, a heart that beats for Annika alone. It's gay, it's got vampires, it's a murder mystery. Of sorts. That's enough. That's all I need. Next, we have Nightshade and Oak by Molly O'Neill, who wrote Green Teeth, which I did enjoy this year. Trapped in a body that's frustratingly feeble, she's forced to team up with Bellis, warrior daughter of Boudicca, on the perilous journey across Roman-occupied Britain to the afterlife to try to restore her powers. As animosity turns to attraction, these two very different women must learn to work together if they are to have any hope of surviving their quest. When Malt, the goddess of death, is accidentally turned into a human by a wayward spell, she finds she's ill-equipped to deal with the trials of a mortal life. After all, why would a goddess need to know how to gather food or light a fire? That's it. I kind of want more than that from the blurb, but I am into it, and it does sound like it's more lesbians. Sorry, not sorry. Next, we have Bone of My Bone by Johanna van Veen. The year is 1635. Sister Ursula, a young nun fleeing the ruins of her convent, and Elsebeth, a sharp-witted peasant, escape a band of marauding soldiers and disappear into the Bavarian forest. War scorches the land and no one survives it alone. Amid the devastation, they find something in the arms of a dying something, the gilded skull of a saint. It is said that if you reunite the saint's skull with her body, a wish will be granted. Desperate for salvation, and each with secret desires of their own, Ursula and Elsebeth follow a ragged map across the blighted countryside, but darkness follows them. A necromancer drawn to the relic's power, the saint herself whispering at night, and as the lines between blessing and curse blur, the women must face a harrowing. The magic they seek comes at a cost. That doesn't make grammatical sense. At the journey's end, they'll face an impossible choice. One that could tear apart everything they know or bind them to each other forever. Again, sapphic horror seems to be what I'm into at the moment. Hopefully I keep going with that, because otherwise I'm going to be real disappointed by this list. I think this might be the most well-known one on my list. This is Agnes Orbert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett, who wrote the Emily Wilde books. All strays are welcome here. Agnes Orbert is very fond of making lists. These lists kept her afloat when she lost her husband 2 years ago, and now as the founder of a cat rescue charity, her meticulous organisation skills feel like the only thing standing between her beloved cats, His Majesty, Banshee, and sweet elderly Thoreau, to name a few, and utter disaster. But when Agnes is forced to move the charity, she soon discovers that her new shop is being used as a front. Right under her feet is the lair of the decidedly disorganised, and not to mention self-absorbed and infuriatingly handsome, Havelock Renard. Havelock is everything Agnes doesn't want in her life. Chaos, mischief, and a little too much adventure. But as she gets to know him, she discovers he's more than the dark magician of legend, and that she may be ready for a little intrigue, perhaps even romance. After all, second chances aren't just for rescue cats. That sounds adorable. It does sound like she's doing the same dynamic that she did with Emily Wilde, which I did like in the first book, I just didn't like in the second book. So, I'm optimistic. Next, we have the works of Vermin by Hiron Ennis. I read Leech and DNF'd it because I couldn't quite get behind the hive mind of it all, but I am intrigued by this one. He was sent to kill a pest, instead he found a monster. Enter the decadent, deadly city of Tilliard, a metropolis carved into the stump of an ancient tree. In its canopy, the pampered elite warp minds with toxic perfume. In its roots, gangs of exterminators hunt a colossal worm with an appetite for beauty. In this complex, chaotic city, Guy Moulin has a simple goal: keep his sister out of debt. For her sake, he'll take on any job, no matter how vile. As an exterminator, Guy hunts the uncanny pests that crawl up from the river. These vermin are all strange and often dangerous. His latest quarry is different, a worm the size of a dragon with a deadly venom and a ravenous taste for artwork. As it digests Tilliard from the sewers to the opera houses, its toxin reshapes the future of the city. No sane person would hunt it if they had the choice, but Guy doesn't have a choice. I like how Parisian that sounds, and also monsters and worms and beasts and shit, and horror. I'm here for it. Next up, we have Morsel by Carter Keane. Lou did what the children of parents with back-breaking, poor-paying jobs are supposed to do. Pulled up her bootstraps, went to college and got an office job with co-workers who won't stop talking about their multi-level marketing scheme disguised as self-betterment. Determined to lift her ill mother out of poverty before it's too late, and in the spirit of climbing the corporate ladder, Lou accepts an assignment in the rural hills of Ohio. She quickly finds herself stranded in the middle of nowhere with a sabotaged truck, a dog she's determined to keep safe, and something stalking her through the ancient Appalachian woods. If she can't escape the woods in time, she'll come face to face with the fact that her job isn't the only thing that wants to eat her alive. Morsel is a chilling testament to the burden of generational poverty and the all-consuming nature of capitalism, where the monster and the monstrous, in the end, are not the same. I'm less into just that blurb. I feel like there was something else that was said when I heard about it that made me go, But yeah, creepy Appalachian monsters. I have enjoyed that before. Also, most of these come out next year sometime. There aren't very many that haven't. The next one came out this year, though, I think. The next one is an absolute tongue twister. This is the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association. It came out this year by Caitlin Rezakis. She wrote one of the Dark Lord books I really enjoyed. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. It was really funny. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. And I love a magic school situation. This is the third one on this list that says perfect for fans of T. Kingfisher. So, when Vivian's kindergartner Aria gets bitten by a werewolf, she is rapidly inducted into the hidden community of magical schools. Reeling from this sudden move, Vivian finds herself having to pick up the right sacrificial dagger for Aria, keep stocked up on chew toys, and play PTA politics with sirens and chthonic nymphs, and people who can literally set her hair on fire. As Vivian careens from hellhounds in the school corridors and demons at the talent show, she races to keep up with all the arcane secrets of her new society. Shops only accessible by magic portal, the brutal trials to enter high school, and the eternal inferno that is parents' WhatsApp group. And looming over everything is a prophecy of doom that might sound suspiciously like it's about Aria. Vivian might be facing the end of days just as soon as she can get her daughter dressed and out of the door. I like a magic school. I think I like this one even more because it's going to be from a parent's point of view, and that's not a point of view you get a lot with magic schools, and I think that's an interesting take. Also, Caitlin Rezakis does funny really well. Oh, next we have The Tapestry of Fate by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the second in the Amina Al-Sarafi series, and I did really enjoy the first one. So, skip this one if you haven't read Amina Al-Sarafi, because there might be spoilers, I don't know. Just in case. Amina Al-Sarafi thinks she's struck gold, tasked with hunting down arcane artifacts for the Council of Immortal Peris. I'm assuming that's supposed to say perils. She can savour the occasional rollicking adventure on the high seas with her cherished criminal companions, while still returning home to raise her beloved daughter Marjana. But when the Raksh, the spirit of discord with whom she is reluctantly wed, provokes the council's wrath, Amina is charged with a seemingly impossible quest. Steal a spindle capable of rewriting fate from a mysterious sorceress on an island no one can escape. Forced to leave Marjana, who is increasingly frustrated at being peddled what are clearly lies about her mother's life and her own past, Amina finds her mission almost immediately thrown into peril. But deadly storms, an erratic poison mistress, and old enemies are the least of her worries, for the Paris story is unravelling. No? Okay, Paris. Hinting at a far deadlier game whose rules Amina must swiftly puzzle out. A game that sets her against an adversary more cunning and powerful than she has ever faced. A game that not everyone on her crew wants her to win. I don't remember a lot about the first book, I'll be honest, but I'm into it. I'm not in the middle of many series at the moment that I'm actually excited to carry on with, so I have that one. Next we have The Witchstone by Henry H. Neff. Meet Laszlo, 800-year-old demon and Hell's least productive curse keeper. From his office beneath Midtown, he oversees the Drakeford Curse, which involves a pathetic family upstate and a mysterious black monolith. It's a sexy enough assignment, colonial origins, mutating victims, etc., but Laszlo has no interest in maximising the curse's potential. He'd rather sunbathe in Ibiza, quaff martinis, and hustle the hustlers on Manhattan's subway. Unfortunately, his division has new management, and Laszlo's ratings are so abysmal that he's given 6 days to shape up or he'll be melted down and returned to the primordial ooze. Meet Maggie Drakeford, 19-year-old curse-bearer. All she's ever known is the dreary corner of the Catskills where the Drakeford curse has devoured her father's humanity and is rapidly laying claim to her own. The future looks hopeless until Laszlo appears at the Drakeford farmhouse one October night and informs them that they have 6 days, and 6 days only, to break the spell before it becomes permanent. Can Maggie trust the glib and handsome Laszlo? Of course not, but she also can't pass up an opportunity to save her family, even if it means having a demon as a guide. Thus begins a breakneck international adventure that takes our unlikely duo from a hot dog stand in Central Park to the mountains of Liechtenstein. As the clock ticks down, tough as nails Maggie and conniving Laszlo will uncover a secret so profound that what began as a farcical quest to break a curse that will eventually threaten the very lords of hell. It sounds stupid and fun, and I'm into it. Last on my list is one that came out this year. It's Not a Cult by Joey Beatty, our very own Jaskier from the Witcher series. I'm mostly intrigued to see if he can write as well as he can act and sing, because he is a very talented human. So we shall see. Callum, Melusine and Al play in a band with no name, baffling audiences in terrible pubs across the northeast of England with their sound and occasionally reaching the dizzy heights of 97 viewers on their live streams. To say they are losers would be to imply that they were in the race in the first place, but they believe in their music and in each other. Their songs tell the stories of the Soul Cats, fictional northern gods of small things, mishap and mayhem. However, when an act of violence at a pub gig goes viral, they catch the eye of a disillusioned influencer and suddenly go from having a cult following to having a cult following. All the Soul Cats want, Callum insists, is to have effect on the world, but as fans from LA to Australia and everywhere in between flock to Northumberland and each gig becomes larger and more lawless than the last, this effect starts to feel scarily real. And if they really do exist, which is it more dangerous to anger, a wayward group of elder gods or your biggest fans? Because gods and cults both demand sacrifices, and one way or another they're going to get one. It's a little out of my wheelhouse, but again, I'm curious. And my voice is now hoarse, so I need to take a break. Thank you very much for watching. Are any of these on your list? Have any of them now popped up on your list because I've told you about them? Do let me know. If you made it all the way through this video, pop me an octopus emoji in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.